All this week, 13 Chief Investigator Darcy Spears has been reporting on the locations local police respond to most often, the crime hotspots of our valley.
And tonight, Darcy now takes a deeper look at what we can learn from all of that information.
It all comes down to driving change and elevating Las Vegas. That's why we collected calls for service numbers from Metro, Henderson, and North Las Vegas Police for 2018. Let's recap the #1 crime hotspots around town where police are responding to every day. And then we'll get the law enforcement perspective from Henderson Police. Crime appears to hit most often at home in North Las Vegas, with the Coral Palms condos on Decatur generating 370 calls for police help in 2018. Henderson Police responded most to the Walmart on Lake Mead, over a dozen times a week last year, with a total of 669 calls. Of the big properties on the Strip, the MGM Grand made the most calls to Metro, nearly 2,500, which averages to almost 7 times a day, every single day. But it's McCarran Airport that keeps Metro busiest, with 6,650 calls for service. That's more than 18 calls every single day in 2018. McCarran officials say over 130,000 people travel through the airport each day, and Metro officers perform tasks that private security handles at other locations, like checking door alarms or unattended bags and looking into any suspicious activity. While large locations with high traffic often need more police help, we're looking closer at repeat problem properties.
But when we see high call volumes in certain areas, then it's incumbent upon us as an organization to address it appropriately.
Henderson Police Lieutenant Kirk Moore says most crime is divided up between 2 kinds of places: commercial properties, where theft is the most common problem, and apartment complexes.
When you look at apartments in a high call volume, it's usually a small group of people driving those numbers.
Many of the calls for disturbances are domestic violence, or could be just some yelling and arguing.
When you have an apartment with, 3, 4 adults, in that apartment, sometimes tensions can run high.
Data collected over several years show the same apartments continue to create problems in every jurisdiction. Lieutenant Moore says Henderson's tackling that in a unique way.
We've put in the Henderson Municipal Code that now apartment complexes are required to be a part of our crime-free multi-housing programs. We go out to these apartment complexes and we look at all of the ways, how do we make the quality of life different and better for those residents, and how do we identify problem apartments or individuals and remove them from the equation.
Moore says crime tends to spill over. Take big box stores, for example, like the 2 Henderson Walmarts that are crime hotspots year after year.
We have to address the issues in the community surrounding it. If we don't do that, then the things that we do inside the store are going to be negligible.
He calls the Target store on Lake Mead a success story. While the location did not generate enough calls to make it anywhere near the top 10, managers there went to police to help solve a problem. They were losing over $600,000 a year to theft.
So we teamed with their loss prevention, their regional managers, the community, and all of the people around, and we worked, a project to try and change not only, the aesthetics of the store, make it more inviting, change everything around it to change, the perception of the place.
And the changes had a big impact.
We've reduced their losses to just a little over $250,000 a year. I think that's very significant.
On the flip side, he says a shift in how stores deal with shoplifters invites more crime.
But there's been a trend as of late that the loss prevention people are encouraged to not engage suspect and people who are stealing merchandise. There's an inherent liability in confronting people.
So often, they're just letting shoplifters go.
When that word gets around to the community, then you become an even bigger target.
Lieutenant Moore advocates a holistic approach, using community policing to reduce crime.
And so that's what we are pushing out to our officers, and how to become problem solvers and not just respond to calls of service.
Solving problems by using numbers to predict trends and addressing crime before it gets out of control. Many of you have asked us about your neighborhoods. Keep in mind, the numbers we collected for this series isolate addresses that use the most police resources, the locations cops spend most of their time instead of patrolling your neighborhood. For specific information about neighborhood areas, we have links on our website to crime maps from each jurisdiction. Darcy Spears, 13 Investigates.